Hey folks, Dr. Rowe here. Hope you're well. I wanted to do a quick post before I leave my office this evening, and it's on a subject that I think is really topical at the moment. As many of you know, I've been in the property game for nearly 20 years. Can't believe it. Actually, it's 20 years. In fact, it's 20 years, I think, in about 2 months' time. So my first investment property I bought in 2001. It was a long time ago. Actually, I didn't have. Did I have more hair than that? I think I may have had hair actually then before I shaved it all off. I certainly had a hell of a lot less grey hairs on the face. And over that time, I've been really lucky. I've bought, a lot of properties. Some have gone better than others. I've made mistakes. I think like a lot of investors can honestly put their hand up and say they've made. More at the beginning when I started without really knowing what I was doing. And then along the way, often the mistakes that have been made have been linked with poor partnerships actually, and that's a conversation I talk to people about when I run my 3-day property training, some of the experiences I've had. And yeah, I mean, look, the portfolio grew a lot at the beginning, and then I sort of changed the size of it and sold properties off in order to buy bigger properties and have less of the larger numbers. And I've been privileged to train a lot of people that have gone on to buy a heck of a lot more properties than I've done over the years. But the idea of building the portfolio, which I continue to do, is been really to provide that long-term security. I just had 2 valuations done this week actually on properties that I bought back in 2004, 2005, and pleasantly surprised that in both cases actually the values came up, in one about 20,000 more than I thought it was going to be, and the other one about 60 or 80,000 pound more than I thought it was going to be at this moment in time. And that's the beauty of buying assets over the long term. You get the cash flow because both of them produce a cash flow. One of them maybe about 400 a month net, and the other one about 1,001 a month net. Both southern-based properties. We've just picked up, I think, in this last week, 2 deals, maybe 3. 2 deals definitely. Long-term guaranteed rents. This is in the middle of COVID, of course. Long-term guaranteed rents probably going to net around 700 quid each per month, something like that. Looking at another one which has the potential to net about 1,500 pounds a month, and then another one which is a larger project, which is offers gone in, but of course I don't know if I'm going to get it, which is going to be a block of apartments that has the potential, if it all goes through, of course, of about 3,000 to 3,500 pound a month net. So I mean, different strategies. Now, when we're doing deals, we're looking at a lot of deals. And out of those deals, you might have 5 or 6 on the go, of which 1 or 2 come through. So I've got 2 that are definitely going through. The other 3 are sort of sat there, and they may or may not go. But again, it's about evaluating them and knowing. And this is live in the middle of COVID. And, we're looking to add more properties into the business as the year goes through. So this kind of comes back to the question, which is now a good time to get into property, and should I train myself? So I am going to release some text here, which I've got here. Now look, we've got a balance here, all right? So it's like one side, this side is, okay, it's COVID, there's a lot going on, should I wait? That could weigh down one side. So what can we stack up on the other side to make sure that we win? So I've got 4 things to consider. Number 1, I think it's important to know this, that in recession, there are massive opportunities. And in fact, history shows this. I've talked about this in a recent post as well. And that is, there are often more opportunities in the middle of a recession than there are outside of recession, because there's less people looking. I think it's the great quote, isn't it, from Warren Buffett: when people are fearful, be greedy, and when they're greedy, be fearful. Meaning when people are backing off, that's an opportunity to grab opportunities. And there is a quote somewhere, and I've read some statistics, there's more millionaires made through a recession than any other time. Now, whether you want to be a millionaire or not is entirely up to you. It's a question of, what do you want to create security? Because the reality is there's no frigging security in a job right now. I think that's an important point to make. So I would say, yes, absolutely massive opportunities. I've talked about this on previous posts. Government now are really crying out for professional landlords. Notice the emphasis on professional. Go back 5-10 years, you could pretty much walk in the market and comfortably go into social housing, get into HMOs. Now that has changed. Now there's a lot of restrictions. You need certification. Just got one just come through actually this last week from one of my areas where I'm a landlord. I think this is Stafford. Is it Staffordshire? There you go, North Staffordshire. So my landlord accreditation. And again, this is all down to you having a right knowledge, experience, etc. So very important. So that kind of comes onto a question I'm going to tackle in a minute, which is about, should I train myself? But let's come to that in a second. So the other question I've got is, do you have security? I think anyone that says to me they're in a job and they're 100% sure they're secure, that's BS. There's no security in a job. And if you've got a business that's self-employed, sadly, there's no security there as well, particularly in the current climate. And what's going to happen at the end of March when we see furlough stop and a lot of companies aren't going to be prepared to, or cannot afford to pay people. There's going to be a lot of people dropping off the cliff. So what I'm saying to people now is get into property now at the start of the year, because actually what's going to happen, I think 6 to 12 months from now, especially when we get the real stranglehold from the recession, is that banks will be very reluctant to lend to very first time brand new property investors. So getting in now, even if you get your first 1 or 2 buy-to-lets under your belt, it means you'll be classified as an experienced landlord in 6 months down the line. So do you have security in your job, in your current profession, in your business at the moment? And if not, start looking at this as a vehicle that works. It works, it works, it works. You've just got to get the right strategy. It's not a race. You don't have to get hundreds of properties. It's just putting the right ones in place. If one produces 100 here, £200 a month there, 300 there, 500 there, before you're up to 1,000, even if you had £1,000 a month coming in on a monthly basis, that still provides you with extra security. And then are you prepared to put some work in? Because I'm not going to stand here and say this is going to be an easy ride. It is not a frigging easy ride. It's going to take work, discipline, putting the hours in, doing the research, running the numbers. And there's an 8-step process, I say to people. There's 8 very specific steps when you're building a property business. You get those right, and it just falls into place. And I've actually got a link down below here to come and I've created like a presentation which lasts about an hour and 15 minutes. And if you're prepared to spend that time with me, come and watch it. Just click on the link. It's a free presentation. And normally I don't talk about this, but I'm feeling quite a strong urge to make sure people are doing this correctly. So you've got to be prepared to put some time in. It could be 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. What you'll find is as you build your portfolio, time will go into buying the properties, and then they produce an income for life. So that's important. But listen, most people spend way more than that watching TV. So give up some time. And then what is your value? People say about training, right? Should I train myself? You can go and read books. You can go to a library. You might have a few friends that have got property and they've dabbled in it, or they've been doing it for quite a while, and maybe they could give you a bit of time. But there's nothing more valuable than investing in yourself. I've had this conversation just in the last couple of days about people coming free to training courses. A free training course will give you a certain amount of information. But the challenge is, and I've done this in the past, I've seen people, I've gone to events where someone was given a free ticket to an event. And when they got to the event, they actually, they only went for part of it, or they weren't fully engaged in it. So by paying for something, of course, you attach a lot more meaning to it, a lot more value to it. If you pay £1, you'll have a different experience than if you paid £1,000, or if you paid £5,000. I mean, my education went up to like 25k back in the days, nearly 20 years ago. And when you pay that much, bloody hell, man, you sit like this taking lots and lots of notes. But it starts by finding out, and this is where free presentations help. They give you an indication of, is this something I want to do? At least if you go and watch my free presentation, you'll understand the 8 steps. And the good thing about the 8 steps is it gives you immediately some information, some knowledge, and you can go, actually, this makes sense. I quite like to learn more about this, or actually, no, this is not for me. That's the nice thing about testing something initially. But you are going to have to make that investment in yourself. Don't think for 1 minute that you can go and do, I don't know, a day or so at a couple of workshops and suddenly you become a millionaire. I mean, there's a lot of free shit out there on the internet on property investing, and a lot of it is just noise, and it doesn't give you the key things that you need to learn. So be prepared to invest time in yourself. And yeah, my answer to that is absolutely. But just don't try and do it all yourself. Training yourself is one thing, i.e. reading books, but another, being guided by somebody that's done it is a completely different thing. So I think at this stage, go find out a little bit more. Certainly if you come and have a look at what I've created there, I think it will give you a good insight. And then, you decide on the steps after that on your journey, and choose carefully and just value yourself. A lot of these things become tax deductible expenses. If you've got the right accountant and you've got continued professional development built into your business model, then of course they're claimable as well. Right, I'm going to sign out. Hopefully that was useful. And yeah, have a look at the link if you want to come and spend a bit more time with me on the property side. But right now, yes, the answer is there's lots of opportunity. Do not wait. Do not wait. Don't wait till the back end of this year. Don't be one of those people that says everything has to line up just perfectly and then I'm going to do it, Dr. Rowe. Because the challenge is when we come out of COVID, we hit the summer, you go, I'll wait till the winter and then I'll do it. And then before you know it, it's next year. Now is the time. Interest rates are incredibly low. Incredibly low. I mean, seriously low. So I think whilst the banks are prepared to lend to us as property investors, And there are great strategies you can implement if you don't have a lot of money or if you've got a lot of capital to start with. There are strategies for that where you control the asset under a contract without physically having to own it. So there's probably 5 or 6 ways you can make money from property without physically having to own them. All right, and just be mindful of that as well. That doesn't mean to say you can't not own them in the future, but it's just at the moment you may not be in a position to get a mortgage, but there's still a way to make money. All right, so I'm just going to share that with you. All right, have a great evening, and I've got to sign off, go see my girls. I've been in the office for quite a while getting ready for a presentation I'm giving this weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye.